Hi, I'm Reen Wilcoxon, founder of Embroidery Garden, and in today's video, I'm going to show you how to create and stitch a custom name keychain using only the Brother Luminaire XP3. Let's get started. To start designing our keychain, we're first going to go into Embroidery to create the name. I'm going to choose font category number 2, and you can choose any font style you like. I'm going to choose number 24. Uppercase letters are selected, so I'm going to type M. I'm going to go to lowercase and type I-M-I. At this point, you can change the spacing if you want. You can put your letters in an array or a bit of a curve. I am going to change the spacing a little bit. You can either make your letters further apart or closer together. I'm going to put mine just a little bit closer together. So each time I tap on that button, it brings the letters closer. I'm going to hit OK. I'm done editing, so I'm going to hit Set. We're back over into the embroidery screen. We're going to be stitching this in a 5x7 hoop, so I'm going to go ahead and hit Edit, and I'm going to rotate my name 90 to the right and hit OK. Now we need to create the placement holder for our tab, and you'll see what I mean in just a second. So we're going to be adding that. So I'm going to click Add, and we're going to create it in my Design Center. So I'm going to click my Design Center. This opens up the built-in software on the machine, and I'm going to get my shape. This is also called the stamp icon. I'm going to click it, and it opens up a page of different shapes. I'm just going to use a square. Hit OK. It brings it up on the screen. The first thing I'm going to do is resize it. So I'm going to hit Size. You can see that it brought it in at 6.19 by 6.19. I can use any of these arrows here to adjust the size that I need it to be. But on the Luminaire 3, they added a keypad, so I'm going to use the keypad. You can see that the top number, which is the height, is highlighted. I want the height of this to be 2.25. Just type it in and hit Set. Now it's highlighted the width. I want the width to be 0.3. A little tip on the machine is you can't just type 0.3, you have to type 0.3. Hit Set. And now my tab placement holder is sized correctly, so I'm going to hit OK. Now when it brings it in, the machine defaults to making this stitch as a zigzag. I don't want it to be a zigzag, so we're going to click on it and change the line property. Line properties are zigzag stitches, single runs, triple runs, candle wicks, blanket stitches, all the ones that you see. I want this to be a single run, so I'm going to hit the second icon. I'm going to change the color basically so you can see what happens in the next step. Pick green, doesn't matter what color, hit OK. Let me zoom in a little bit. Now we've chosen what style of line that we want, but we need to apply it. So to do that, you click the bucket underneath the line properties, and then just touch the outline, and you see that it turns green. I'm going to go ahead and hit Next. On this screen, you could do a little more editing if you want. We're going to go ahead, and if you want to, you can put this in memory of the machine or on a USB stick. If you create other keychains, you'll use the same tab. So if you want to save it, you can go ahead and save it and retrieve it later when you go to make a new tab. I'm going to hit Set. It says that it is converting this to an embroidery pattern, and we are leaving my Design Center. So I'm going to say OK. Let's zoom in a little bit. And you can probably barely see that rectangle that we just made. So I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to hit Edit, Move, and use the arrows to put it in place. You can see it moving up. Now I've moved it all the way up so it's not touching the letter, so you can see basically where I'm going to place it. You want the bottom of that rectangle to be inside of the first letter of the name. So you can see that I've moved it in a little bit. You can kind of play with this just as long as it is inside of that first letter, this first part of the M, that curve. Now I'm going to hit OK. So that's going to help us create our tab. The next thing we have to do is make the outline that's going to stitch the whole keychain together. First, what I need to do though is come down here to select. I'm going to hit this last icon, and I'm going to group the rectangle and the name together so I can work with it as one piece. You see everything turned pink. Hit OK. Now we're going to create that outline, and to do that, you use the icon that looks like this little flower. I can't zoom in on this screen, but you can see the black outline. And what we want to do is we want to move the outline a little bit further away from the letter. So I'm going to hit the plus key here under distance. And as it increases, it's putting the outline further away from the letters. Now I only want to go up to about 0.104 or 0.112. The reason being is that this is going to actually be our stitch line. You can see that the outline is going around the letters, so that's what's making this custom. But when it stitches our tab up here, we have to make sure that the tab part is not too wide so that after it's stitched and trimmed, we still want it to fit into our hardware. So I'm going to go ahead and put this into memory. The machine says we can recall this from My Design Center stamp pattern list, so say OK. Now we need to go and get that outline that we just created. We're going to be adding it to the screen, so we're going to hit Add. We have to go back to My Design Center. And now it's said to go into the stamps or the shapes icon, whatever you like to call it, and that's this one here. And we click on the little flower at the top. We made it with the flower, so we find it under the flower. It's always the first one that is shown, and hit OK. Again, it brings something in. It's bringing it in default to a zigzag. I don't want this to stitch out as a zigzag, so I'm going to go ahead and click on that. This time for the outline, I want it to be a triple stitch. So I'm going to hit the third icon over. I'm going to change the color. Let's just make it pink. Doesn't matter what color it is. The change in color is going to make the machine stop so that after it stitches the name, we can put the second piece of vinyl underneath the hoop to stitch the whole keychain together. Now that we've told the machine the type of line that we want it to be a triple stitch, we have to apply it. So again, we're going to hit the bucket under the line property, then just touch the outline, and it turned pink. We're going to go to next. Now this time on this screen, I want to change the stitch length. So if you click here, it says run pitch. Run pitch and stitch length are basically the same. I'm going to increase it to where it says 0.1. I like my triple stitch to be just a little bit longer than a regular single stitch. Hit OK. You know, you really wouldn't want to save this one in the memory because this is custom. It's only going to work on the name that we created and the distance we put it away from that name. So go ahead and hit set. It says it's turning it into an embroidery file. We're leaving My Design Center. Now you can see that it placed it on there. Let's just zoom in a little bit. Now we don't need that tab placement holder anymore. So I'm just going to click on it, hit delete, hit OK, and get rid of it. The only other thing I want to do before we begin stitching is I'm going to come down to select, hit that last icon again, group it all together, because what I want to do is put this in the center of the hoop, and to do that you just hit that little circle. It's put it in the center of the hoop. It says OK. You can see the size of our keychain is going to be a little over 5 inches. That includes the tab, by 1.68. That's great. If you wanted to save this now into the memory of the machine, so maybe you wanted to stitch, this out several times, you can put it into the memory of the machine now. We're ready to go to embroidery, and let's get ready to stitch this out. I've gone ahead and hooped a piece of cutaway stabilizer. You could use a tearaway stabilizer. I cut 2 pieces of my Reen vinyl, slightly larger than the finished size of the design. You could use cork or another type of non-fraying material to stitch the keychain. Now that the name has finished stitching, I'll remove the hoop from the machine so that we can place the second piece of vinyl on the back side. I'm going to be using one of my hoop and press pads, and I'm going to place the hoop upside down over the hoop and press pad so that now I have the ability to press on the back side of the hoop without disturbing my stabilizer or my project. Take the second piece of marine vinyl, place it right side up on the back side of the hoop, making sure that you have the entire design covered, and tape it in place. With the hoop and press pad on, I can press down on the tape to make sure that it is adhered. And then we'll put the hoop back on the machine. Before putting the hoop back on the machine, make sure that you change your bobbin thread to match whatever thread you're going to use for the final outline. Here's a little tip to avoid that little knot that you sometimes get on the back of a project when stitching a running stitch, a triple stitch, or some other type of line stitch. Hold the tail of the thread that's coming from the top, press your needle down button, press it again, pull the tail, and it will bring up your bobbin thread. Grab the bobbin thread and pull it out, holding both the bobbin thread and the top thread. Go ahead and start your machine. I like to let it stitch a couple of stitches, stop the machine, and then cut those threads. And then continue. Now remember, when we created our keychain, we made this be a triple stitch. The way that the machine reads that is that it will go around in a single stitch first, then it will begin the triple stitch like it did just now. Once the design has finished, remove the hoop from the machine and remove the design from the hoop. You can take your scissors, trim around. You'll notice on the back side, looks nice and neat. We don't have that nasty little knot that you get sometimes. And then all you're going to do is use your scissors, trim around your keychain, install your 2 snaps, and then put your hardware on. And your custom name keychain is finished. I hope that you enjoyed this video and learned something about your machine. If you'd like to see more videos of this type and other videos that I create, please subscribe to my channel by clicking the subscribe button below.